Hello, VIP group for Chicago Empowered Women of Chicago.
It's a long
How's everyone doing tonight on night 3 of the Purse Strings coming in, teaching some financial education? Today we have Stacey Swanson with us. She's one of our new Purse Strings approved providers, which is very exciting.
Yes. Yes, Purse Strings is so thankful for Liz that she's allowing us to come in and join her group and present some great money topics. We did have a little bit of a poll in the group and said, what are the topics that you're most interested in? And this was one of them, you know, that darn debt. We got to pay down that darn debt. So the reason Maggie and I created Purse Strings was so that we could provide women free online tools and resources right at their fingertips so that they could arm themselves with knowledge and skill to go have conversations with financial professionals like Stacey, or like a PNC agent, or like a realtor, or like a mortgagee, a lender, or an attorney. So we have a lot of tools right on our site, pursestrings.co. And we also have Ask an Expert, but moreover, we also are building this whole cadre, this list of Purse Strings approved professionals, and Stacey is one of them. And these professionals have been serving a female market most of their career. They've either experienced something in their life that led to this belief that women really need help with their finances. The data will tell you that women are not really bringing a seat to the table or taking charge of their own finances. And a lot of women, and Maggie and I have hosted a lot of focus groups, have said, you know, no one ever taught me this. I didn't learn it in school. So that's what we wanted to do for Purse Strings, is be that go-to resources, all things financial for women. Again, free, no cost to women, because women are always behind anyway, so why charge them? However, it's a membership-based program where financial professionals do join us, but they have to be trained and vetted by us and proven that they know how to serve a female market and they have women's concerns front and center. So that's the mission of Purse Strings, and we're glad Stacey's here today, and we're glad Liz has allowed us to get in front of her group and share some of this great wisdom on how to pay down that darn debt.
So I think we should just jump in tonight. I know we have a short period of time, but, you know, full of education and knowledge. So let me give a little intro to Stacey. She works at Wealth and Women, which works with women individually to understand their needs and dreams. With their coaching program, you will focus on 5 key areas, but the most important one is addressed through the program Money Mindset. In this coaching, it focuses on packing and updating your money mindset so it aligns with your values, current desires, and needs. If this step is ignored, you will find it difficult to change your money habits, thoughts, and incomes, and continue to stay where you're at, both financially and how you handle your money. So Stacey really helps you move forward, but starts with that mindset and making sure you're in the right place. So before I hand it over to Stacey, I just want to say that please put any questions you guys may have in the comments, and we can go through those during the presentation and do some questions after. So with that, off to you, Stacey.
Thank you. Thank you, Maggie. I appreciate it. So hey there, glad I'm here. I wanted to say, are you someone who has debt and you're worried about it and you're stressed about it and you know that you need to rein in your spending and, you know, it's just this burden for you? We've all felt that. I know exactly how you feel. And if that's you, you're in the right place. You are going to enjoy tonight's quick training on putting a plan in place to pay off your debt. So now if you're in debt, one of the things we absolutely need to do, and we all know this, is we've got to pay extra. We've got to pay more than those minimum payments to make a difference and to get it paid off. So we all know that if we don't do that, it's just going to take forever and cost us lots of interest payments, and it won't be very fun. So did you know that there are several other steps you actually need to take to pay down your debt? It's not just paying extra. There's a few other things that we're going to talk about tonight so you can be successful and stick to your plan. What I'm going to be talking about tonight is a debt payoff action framework. And I'm going to share that framework with you. It's super simple, step by step. You can use it to become debt-free. You can share it with your adult children if they're dealing with debt, maybe credit card debt or debt from student loans. You can share it with your parents or even friends who are complaining about, paying off the mortgage. And it's a great program too to share with your spouse and be able to explain how to do it. So I want to thank Barb and Maggie from Purse Strings for helping me tonight, inviting me on here, introducing me, and also the VIP group for Empowered Women in Chicago. Thank you for hosting this amazing financial fearless education trainings this week, because they are so needed, especially for women and women who have businesses. My name is Stacey Swanson. I'm the owner of Wealth and Women, and as a money coach and life insurance provider, helping people eliminate their debt is a huge part of my program, as well as money coaching and automating your budget. So let's get excited. Let's start talking about our framework, and I'll add my slides right now, and we'll get right to it. Okay. I clicked share. It's loading. I hope everyone's doing great this evening. It's almost St. Patrick's Day. Looks like it's taking a minute here. And I just want everyone to start thinking about what debt actually is as this is loading up our PowerPoint slide. It's not just the mortgage, and it's not just credit cards. We also have student loan debt. We have car loans, maybe more than one. We have money that we owe people, or maybe we took out a personal loan or a line of credit or a second mortgage. All of that stuff adds up as debt. Dang it. Can you see my screen, Maggie?
I can't yet. I'll let you know when it pops up in here. It's always how it is, It's how technology works these days. And you press the share at the bottom. Is it just loading on your end?
I can't hear you, but it's saying Google Chrome is not responding. So because of StreamYard, I don't know what to do.
Do you just want to work on going through, we could just talk about it, and we could just keep going?
Shoot.
We might be losing Stacey a little bit on here, but thank you everyone for staying with us, before we talk down debt. Let's see here. I'll have you jump back in real quick.
Yeah, I think it looks like Stacey got frozen. Maybe what we should do is have her log out and log back in.
Oh, is she in one of these? Oh, you're moving that one.
I see you now.
Sorry.
No worries.
I don't know what happened.
Maybe
I
you
just
had
clicked. Yeah, I just clicked on the slide to show it, and then should I try it again?
Yeah, how about we try it one more time?
Okay.
It worked when we tested it out. If it's not working, maybe you just want to talk through. Oh,
perfect.
Can you see it?
I see slides.
Yep, it looks great.
Okay, I don't see myself, but I see the screen. Okay, so as we said, we're going to talk about paying down that darn debt today. And we will go to the next screen. So a debt payoff action framework is your step-by-step plan to paying off your debt. And the first step is realizing that debt is an obstacle. It is creating a roadblock to your wealth. So we want to get that paid down, paid off, so that you can use that money to put towards savings or investments or to spend on things that you want. So think of it like a teeter-totter where one side is your debt and there's interest being charged to you. So every time you get that paycheck into your account, so much of your paycheck has to go towards those payments of debt and the interest, when instead you could be putting money to the other side to your savings account and earning interest. So it's really a negative against building wealth. And then we're going to talk about how much debt do you have and how to figure that out, a plan to pay it off, and then making a commitment to stick with the plan and rewarding yourself for those little wins as you go along. So debt is taking you in the opposite direction of building your wealth. And what debt is when you buy something that you don't have the money to pay for. So if it's a house, which most of us don't have $250,000, in our savings, but that would be the ultimate goal, to buy a house. So we take out a mortgage, which is a debt that we have to pay back, including interest. So of course, we're paying a lot more for the house than $250,000. And that's usually for 30 years. So it's a long time, a big amount of debt that is kind of in our way to save. Another kind of debt would be credit cards, like I said. So student loans, car loans, personal loans, second mortgages, all those things. Every time you do that, it's still debt. And some people think that when they refinance their home and roll that debt from their credit cards into it, that debt is gone, but it's really not. It's really just going to be down the road waiting for you. It's still there. You still have to pay it. It's just not maybe as high as interest rate or in several different packages. So some stats show that as of July 2020, American debt climbed to $14.3 trillion. That is just a crazy amount of debt. That's just in the United States of America. And over the last 50 years, it has grown just exponentially. People are just more and more at ease to use their credit card for small things like going to the grocery store or buying tennis shoes for your kids, when those things should be budgeted into your regular amount of salary. And, it used to be that you had to have amazing credit and really make a lot of money to even get a credit card or be able to buy a house, but that's not the way it is anymore. I mean, they're giving college kids credit cards when they go to college and they don't even have any credit yet. So it's kind of becoming more of a negative than it was in the past. And more people are entering retirement with debt, which is not the American dream. You don't want to retire and have all that money that you saved to live off of while you don't work in your golden years and still be paying for your house or your car or the student loan. So as we talked before, money mindset is very important in making any changes to your behavior, your habits, your spending, and it even affects your income. So we all have money thoughts and habits that we learned in childhood, even as adults, if we've been married or going to college or people we're around, just seeing how other people spend money or save money, everything comes and you kind of glean all that from people in your life. And maybe your family argued about money, or there was never enough, or you were passed down the depression era style of thinking where you saved everything and you penny pinched, or maybe your family just spent like crazy, but then there wasn't money for important things. And as adults, we can choose to unpack and remember all those things, and then also upgrade your thoughts and your habits so that they align with who you are today and how you want to spend and earn your money. So the second step is to total up all your debt. So how do you know what you have to pay off if you don't have a total? And this is a really scary step. And I know a lot of us don't want to do this, but it is the first step to realizing, like, what is my plan? What is it going to take to get to paying off debt? So first you want to open up all your credit cards online and, print out the latest statement if you're not getting them in the mail. See what your balance is and start making a spreadsheet or a list on a piece of paper of all the debt that you owe. And next to each one, write down what that interest rate is, because that's going to be important when you're starting to pay it off. So it's usually called the APR, the annual percentage rate. For credit cards, it's usually like 22.99 or 24.99. Usually for personal loans, it's, maybe around 13, 12%. Car loans are somewhere 5 to 10%. And mortgages are usually the lowest of all, which is nice. But write down those interest rates. And then in the third column, write down what your monthly payment is, the minimum payment you have to make on that card or that debt or that mortgage every single month. And then total the first and the third columns, so you know what the total amount of debt you owe is and what the total amount of payments you're making every month. And you might be shocked to see how much of your income that you're bringing in every week, every month that you work so hard for is going towards that debt because you wanted to buy something, before you had the money to do it. So next we offer this calculator here. You can go there and put in those numbers that we just wrote down, and it will give you a total payout of how long it's going to take you to pay all this debt off. And usually it's, 30 to 40 years, depending on how much you have. And it'll also show how much interest you're going to pay over all that time on all of that debt. And this is without bringing on more debt, so no more credit cards, no more taking out loans, no new cars, no different house. This is all just with the debt you have today. It will show you those totals. So the next step would be tracking your money. You need to know how much you are spending and bringing in every single month, because if you don't know that, how are you going to know how to create a plan to pay off your debt? So on the left there, we're talking about tracking your money. You can keep track of your income and your spending on a spreadsheet or on a piece of paper. Those of us that are older, before there was internet, we used to do this in our check register, which was nice because you could always look at it, but it's not really done on a regular basis anymore. So write that all out, and this information will load into your budget, which is on the right column. This is where we create a budget. You want to put like income and then total all of that, maybe between you and your spouse, or maybe you get oil royalties or child support or spousal support, all of that stuff coming in as income. And then you want to list all of your expenses, like what did you find you were spending your money on from tracking it? Of course, you have your regular bills like your mortgage payment and your car payment and the debt, and of course, like utilities. And then there's the discretionary things like groceries and clothes and going out to eat and those kind of things. So write all that down and add it up and see where you're at. And do you have any extra left over? Is there money that you could put towards your debt, or are you living paycheck to paycheck, which means before the next paycheck gets there, you've already spent all the money from the last paycheck and you're waiting for the next paycheck so you can go get gas, get your car fixed, go out to eat, whatever, pay a bill. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's going to be a little harder to pay off your debt because you need some extra money to do that, like we talked about at the beginning. So next, we're going to create your debt payoff plan, and there's easy steps to do this. And now that you have a good picture of what you're spending and what you make and where all your money is going, you're ready to create that debt elimination plan. And first, how much extra money do you have? Do you have $200 extra a month? Do you have $800 extra a month that you could really put towards that debt? And I recommend that you use 80 to 90% of that extra money towards the debt, because you don't want to just like max it out because something, just little things might come up, or you might want to just take everybody out to dinner on one Sunday or whatever, treat yourselves a little bit. So you don't want to make your plan so strict, just like your budget. You don't want to make it so strict that you can't keep it. You can't stay on track. And that's where the mindset comes in too. If you haven't worked on deciding that this is what you want to do and you agree with your spouse or yourself, you're going to get off track, and it's going to be easy to just go back to those old ways. So let's say you have $800 extra a month. So we're going to use $600 of it, 80%. And we're going to use that $600 towards the payoff plan. So now you can go back to the link again, which is here at the bottom, and you still have those same numbers in there, but this time you're going to add that you can pay $600 extra. And it will calculate and show you, you can either start by paying the smallest debt first. So maybe you have 5 debts and the smallest one you only owe, $2,000 on. So that's the one you would want to put the extra $600 to every month. But you also want to make the minimum payment to that card and to all the other debt. So you're still making the minimum payments like you've always been doing, but the extra $600 is going to go to the smallest debt. Or some people recommend, and it's totally up to you, that you start with the debt that has the highest interest rate. So that would probably be a credit card. And you could start there so that that one gets paid off first and you're paying less debt. The only plus I would recommend about doing it the other way, starting with the smaller amount, is that you're going to see a result faster. It's not going to take very long to pay off the $2,000 when you're paying an extra $600 a month. So did I say 2,000? So that might be a better way to reward yourself. And then, we'll talk about money rules here, but you also want to, once you pay off one of the debts, whatever the minimum payment was on that debt, you want to add that to the $600. So now you're paying $655, say, towards the next debt. And you're going to pay that every month until you can pay it off. So a few things to think about are some money rules. And this is another part of your mindset, is deciding what you want your money rules to be. So maybe it's neither of us in our couple and our spouse and I are going to spend more than $500 without talking to each other. Or maybe our money rule is we're never going to lend money to family except maybe our kids. Or we're not going to incur any more debt. We're going to talk to each other about before we want to go buy that flat screen TV or that new car or that new purse. We're going to talk to each other about it so we can stay committed to each other. But the main thing I want you to do before you even start paying off your debt, and this is really important, is that you fund your emergency fund savings first. You need to have at least $1,000 in there, and I would recommend 2 or 3, but start with 1,000. And so take that $600 a month, or even the whole $800, and put that in your emergency fund until it's up to $1,000. And then start taking the $600 and putting it towards debt. And the reason we recommend this is because if your car breaks down or your furnace goes out or any emergency comes up, say you had a family member pass away out of state and now you all got to buy suits and dresses and fly there and spend the night there and all this stuff, where are you going to get that money? If you don't have an emergency fund, you're going to put it on a credit card, most likely. So build out emergency fund first and then start doing your debt elimination. And then if you get any found money, so I just heard today we're going to get another stimulus check of $1,400. When you get that check, put 95% of it towards your debt or your emergency fund first. If you get an inheritance, if you get a tax refund, if you get a bonus, if you get a raise, all those things are new money that you didn't have coming in before. They're like a bonus. So start using that money, still live within your same means, but put that money towards your debt and it'll go a lot faster. And the biggest key about paying off debt is to not accumulate more debt, no more new debt. This is so important because if you start that plan, you total it up, you see what your payments are, and you start paying it down and you're making these sacrifices and you're staying committed and supporting each other. And then somebody goes and buys a new washer and dryer in Home Depot and puts it on credit. Then you have another debt. You just went backwards like a year in your debt elimination plan. Try really hard not to take on new debt. You can cut up the cards. You can just keep one of the cards and maybe put it in the freezer. I've heard that. That's a great idea. There's so many ways to stop accumulating debt. Don't have those store cards like at Kohl's or the gas station or, the grocery store or whatever. Only use cash and your debit card for that. And you have to get your emotional impulse spending under the control, because that is the biggest derailer of buying things on credit. You're sad. Maybe your boyfriend broke up with you. Maybe you went through a divorce. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe somebody made you really mad and you got in an argument and you're like, I'm going to show them, I'm going to go shop and that's going to make me feel better. But we all know that's just makes you feel worse. So not only now do you have more debt that you have to feel bad about, but it didn't make you feel any better because it didn't solve the solution, right? So try not to spend, when you're emotional on an impulse. Just don't even go to those places that you're going to shop, maybe Target, and then find a friend or colleague or maybe a family member that you can be accountable to and say, this is what I'm doing. I want you to be the person that I can call when I want to buy those new red high heels, and you're going to help me decide whether to do it or not. And then again, reward yourself. It's important to celebrate those milestones throughout your payoff plan. So it improves your mood. It keeps you motivated. You're so excited that you paid off that one debt and now you can work on the next one. And it makes a good impression to others. They see what you're doing. They motivates them to do the same. And it makes a good impression on your kids. So hopefully they don't even get into debt. They'll see what you're doing and they'll be so proud of you. And it helps you not to buy things on credit in the future. And you can start planning what you're going to do with that money. Maybe you were spending $3,500 a month on debit or debt. What are you going to do with that $3,500? So there's so many amazing things once you pay off debt. So make sure you reward yourself during milestones. So as we're talking about purchasing a home, there's several ways that debt affects that. So the first thing that a mortgage lender is going to look at is your debt to income ratio. And this is just comparing how much debt you have. Maybe it's $20,000, maybe it's $50,000, maybe it's $150,000 to how much your income is. So if that ratio is really high and you have so much debt where a big majority of your income is going to pay it every month, it's going to create a lower credit score. So you might not even be able to qualify for a house. Plus, it's going to cause you, if you do qualify, if you're able to get a house, you're going to have a way higher interest rate than you would if you had a good credit score and a lower debt to income ratio. And then if you roll your debt into your mortgage, that's usually like with refinancing, but that's going to make your payment higher. So say you decide to buy a house and then you're like, well, if we roll all this credit card debt into the mortgage, boy, our payment's going to be so small. And then we can use the credit cards to go buy more stuff for the house, like new furniture. No, that's incurring new debt. And your old debt didn't go away. It's still there in the mortgage. You're just going to pay it for 30 years now instead of 18. So that's not a solution. And then try not to purchase anything on credit or have creditors look at your credit for at least 6 months before you're going to look for a house. And then if you go under contract or you're showing your house and you get under contract, don't go buy a car. Like, you don't want anybody looking at your credit and messing up that credit score while you're doing that. So a few scenarios is, say the Jones family has $30,000 in debt and $0 in emergency savings, and they get a $5,000 inheritance. What should they do with that? Of course, first they should put $1,000 in their emergency fund, and then the other $4,000 or most of it, maybe $3,500, towards the debt, just like we talked about. So make sure you have that emergency fund saved there first. Or the Brown family, they have $11,500 in debt, and they have a pretty good emergency savings, $5,000. So I would say take that whole tax refund, maybe keep $200 for yourself and put it all towards the debt. And then remember that if you don't have that extra income, if you don't have extra money, you're going to have to find a way. So you're going to have to increase your income or decrease your spending. So a lot of people, coupon shop for their groceries. Maybe they shop around for their car and home insurance and get a better rate. And to increase your income, you can take on a second job, do some consulting work, or sell something from your house. So those are all good ideas. And here's some do's and don'ts that we've already talked about. Make sure you keep track of your income and spending. Don't shop when you're hungry or emotional or upset. Don't make and that's even online. Don't even go on those websites. Do make a commitment to pay off your debt and find somebody you can be accountable to. Don't consolidate your loans and refinance your home often, because every time you do that, it starts over that 30 years. So if it's only 20 years until you're going to retire, say you're 40 or older, you probably don't want to refinance your house for 30 years unless you have a plan to pay it off, because you don't want to enter retirement and still have debt to pay for. Do take time to unpack and upgrade your thoughts and habits around money. And don't ignore your debt or your money ever. That's the number one rule. Stick to those money rules that you set. Be accountable to each other. Reward yourself for your milestones, and don't give up. So here's my information. I hope you got a lot out of this. And if you have any questions, please reach out. I'm so glad to be here talking to all of you about debt, because it is so important to me, and it should be important to all of you too. Sorry, we kind of ran over a little bit there.
Oh, no, we had a little bit of a faux pas in the beginning, but we overcame that. And I really like what you had to say tonight, Stacey. A lot of it aligned with what we heard last night around kind of money habits and things like that. I did bring up the debt payoff calculator. If you didn't, we can put it in our worksheet that you'll get. And it really is a good, clear calculator where you can go in and play around a little bit with your different debt and your balance. And it's very, very easy. So it's just like a regular calculator. So thanks for that tool. That's nice to have. Yeah. And it's similar to what some people see as the snowball methodology, which we have in our Financially Fearless Foundations course that we offer free for women. We have a worksheet on that as well. So a lot of really good tips. And yeah, I think I see a lot of people who roll debt into other debts and thinking, oh, I'm on a clean slate now. But yeah, it's going to catch up with you in the long run. So
well, and the problem with that is if it's credit cards, then you have credit cards with all this open credit on them.
Yeah.
And it's not good to close the accounts, the credit card accounts, but it's good to cut up the cards.
Yeah, we learned that too this week too. Yeah, that's true.
I really like how you point out that, you need to also save for your emergency fund right now, because if you keep trying to get out of debt, you can keep ending right back up there. So you also have to work on breaking that habit while you pay off your debt. You got to change your habits for the future, which is a great point. It's not just paying it off and falling back into that hole again. It's about moving forward and changing your mindset.
Yeah. And we all know as adults what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right. We're supposed to be putting money away for savings. We're supposed to not be getting into too much debt where we need help getting out. And we need to retire debt free. So everybody just needs to take those steps. I know it seems overwhelming, but it's very important.
And I love that you brought up the stimulus check, because I think that's kind of found money, right? And sometimes people think, oh, it's $1,400. It won't really make a dent in my debt, but I could really use this for this or that or the other thing, right? I think there's like a pivot point where you gotta start attacking that amount of debt, whatever it is, whether it's $500, $800 you put towards it, something, because you're gonna chip away where your debt is gonna be lower and lower and lower, and you're gonna be in control of all of it, right? You're gonna swing the pendulum the other way, and you're gonna be in control of your debt, and your debt is not gonna be in control of you. So when you have some found money or money coming your way like this that you don't get very often, are really good critical times to really leverage that kind of money and income.
Yeah.
And
the ultimate goal with emergency savings fund would be to have 3 to 6 months living expenses in them. So, once you're working on your debt or get that paid off, that would be the next goal, I would say. So that if a pandemic happens or you lose your job, you have the ability to move to another country or, take 6 months off or whatever.
Right. It's all very great information. So thank you again, Stacey, for coming on tonight. We're so excited to be here and be in this VIP group. So you can reach Stacey at wealthandwoman@gmail.com. And she is one of our Purse Strings approved providers. So she has a page on the pursestrings.co website as well. And then Tomorrow night, we have wills, trust, and powers of attorney. Not sexy, but so important.
Very
Yeah.
important.
Very important. So thank you again, Stacey. Thank
Thank you, Stacey.
Liz, for having us in your group. And we'll see everyone again tomorrow night.
Okay, great.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.